Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Fem Jashin? Part 3. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. In the Kage stands, just as soon as the white feathers fell on the crowd, the Kazekage soon turned his attention to the Sandaime Hokage, who also did the same. Then Kaharu turned her attention to Kidomaru, who was hopping towards them, and thought, "Soka, I see now. So this is an invasion conducted by Suna and Itachi, and by this standoff between Hiruzen and whoever is under that skin. There should be several objectives to be made while the invasion is planned, meaning that the Ichibi Jinchuriki will be the center of all the havoc that will be caused once he either uses the said Bijuu's beast form or allows the Shukaku to take control. And for Afasama to draw a contract with the Fallen Angel faction means that there could a chance that the Suna Odo forces heading into the village could split up with one quarter making a beeline for the temple. However, if the Kazekage plans to fight and hope to kill Tsurutobi, then he will need to make sure the fight is not disturbed, meaning these three, and that boy approaching us, will create some sort of barrier to make sure no one is to disturb the assassination. Okay then. Just as soon as Kidomaru was about to reach the Kage stands, a clone made of the wind stopped him in midair and delivered a punch to the gut and headbutt, causing the six-armed Odo Genin to fall back and land on the ground just inside the stadium. "Hey, get out of the way, you bis. Or do you have some kind of death wish or something?" said Kidomaru, only to be met with silence as the wind clone of Uchiha did a few hands and said wind style. Blaze of the blade jutsu. And was met with 4 gusts of wind hitting him from all corners, which then slowly began to spin around him, causing Kidomaru to levitate in midair, with the 4 winds forming a tornado with him inside of it. Just as he was about to try and get his way out of the tornado by creating a web he can jump on to leap out of danger, he looked up to see the wind clone flying above and said to him, "You will now have your last breath, misguided child of the sound." Preforms several hand signs at Kage speeds, then flares chakra corrosion style. Glowing a Mara palm. The entire form of the wind clone was then coated with lava, and flames were dangerously emitting from it. The wind clone flew straight into the tornado with a heavy right fist beat back, then punched Kidomaru right in the face, which soon began to turn into ash, causing him to scream in pain, as the hit of the clone was too much for his body. The clone did a one-handed hand sign and boom. The tornado blew up in flames, and only ash could be seen as the remains of the Kidomaru from the explosion made by the lava-coated wind clone. The 3 guards of the disguised Kazekage saw this and threw smoke bombs onto the ground. The Kazekage jumped towards Hiruzen and got him in a lock with a kunai to the neck, then hopped off to the roof. The smoke was blown away by a gust of wind, and Uchiha saw the 3 cloaked guards throw away the cloaks as they all stood in front of the Kazekage holding Hiruzen hostage. The red-headed female said to the other 2 males, "Funk. This funking bis killed Kidomaru. What the funk are we supposed to do now? We told you stop cussing over nothing. Ugh. I can't believe this. Why did that Anbu create that clone to block Kidomaru in the first place? This must mean that Anbu must have figured something out about these 3 with Kidomaru foolishly approaching out in the open. Does that mean she understands I need 4 people to create a barrier to fight Tsurutobi-sensei? No matter. Yukin can take Kidomaru's place." The Kazekage hissed in annoyance of the 3 before him arguing and said to them, "Stop you bickering right now. Seiken, release Yukin and form the barrier quickly, you idiots." The one with silver hair and an extra head nodded to the command he was given, and another body soon submerged out from him, which looks to be his exact twin wearing the same clothes as his twin. Uchiha shook her head as she jumped onto the roof and threw her mask to the side with the sword on her back, then took off her shinobi sandals and said pathetic. "You 4 barely know what to do when one plan fails, and you are all mere children who are just as misguided as that one I have just killed. Why would someone take such a partial interest in children who don't know the first thing about improvisation when the first plan fails? Unless. Hey, shut the funk up. What the funk do you? This is no damn time to be angry at this woman pressing your buttons. Orochimaru-sama needs us to place the barrier before the Hokage's reinforcements arrive," said Seiken, getting a growl at the redhead who kept silent but continued to glare daggers at a stern but calm Uchiha. The raven-haired elder took out 5 kunai and threw them to the 4 guards who blocked at least 4 of them, but one managed to pass through, which went flying for the right shoulder of the disguised Kazekage, who released Hiruzen, then jumped away before the kunai could land a direct stab on its target. Once the kunai stuck to the ground, it was replaced in puff of smoke with Uchiha, who now stood beside Hiruzen and shouted, "Show yourself. Uchiha. You should be at the temple guarding it with Anko instead of being here. Listen, Tsurutobi. I don't have the time to be telling you how I got this uniform, how I was able to get the mission of guarding you and why in the first place. Just now that Ja-sama is the person who sent me to make sure nothing happened to your senile behind. said Uchiha, getting no response to Sarutobi, who stood still for a moment, then nodded to her and threw his robes to the side, revealing his battle attire. Because Ikage threw the robe away with the skin mask being shed off, revealing it to be none other than a slightly angered Orochimaru, who shouted to his four guards, "Now, you whimpering idiots. Form the barrier now." All four of the ninja got into four separate positions and did multiple hand signs as they shouted for violet flames formation. Just as soon as a squad of Anbu arrived to the scene, the barrier was immediately in place and one of the Anbu tried running through the barrier, only to be turned into ashes. "We can't pass through this barrier, Hokage-sama. What should we do?" said one of the Anbu, with Hiruzen replying, "I am fine, as I already have assistants in here. Go to the tower and guard it from anyone entering or trying to steal something. Make sure no one is to get into my office and ring the alarm for the emergency evacuation. Now go." The Anbu reluctantly left the roof in a leaf shunshin, leaving the Sandai Ami and Uchiha to be inside the barrier with Hiruzen's treacherous student disguised as the Yondai Ikage, who glared at Uchiha and said, "Who are you, and why are you derailing my plans to kill Sarutobi-sensei by entering this battle that is only between me and him alone? Who I am is none of your business, Orochimaru, but I thought you would already know me by my face and the sound of my voice. I knew you from the very day you were still a child, that you were nothing but a ticking time bomb waiting to explode with your senile dream of being the greatest shinobi with all knowledge of jutsu. And I had come to realize that your determination and your rotten childhood would push you too far in the pursuit of that dream. I tried to tell Sarutobi that he should keep constant watch of you and keep you in line from defecting from Konoha like you did all those years ago, but his care blinded him too much and it was already too late for you because of the bad childhood you suffered living in Konoha. Now I will be the one to help him correct his mistake, as I know he can never do things on his own and give you the last breath you will ever breathe in this life and the next," said Uchiha with her own stern glare measuring Orochimaru's, who later began to regain his composure with his evil smirk and said, "Kukuku, so you know about me that well. You truly must be someone who knows Sarutobi-sensei and his connection to me all too well. But I do question who you are, as I think I have seen your face somewhere, but I just can't seem to put my finger on it. Can you not see who is standing right in front of you, Orochimaru? This is Kaharu Uchiha. My former teammate," said Hiruzen, and Orochimaru laughed out loud as he gave Uchiha a mocking glare and said to her, "So you have also felt towards the miracle of Genjutsu like Tsunin. How pathetic of an old woman to think she can reclaim her former glory by hiding under such a feeble idea to look more presentable. I realize now that you being here won't be much of a setback, but a step forward in my plans, as you were also a problem to me while I was still a shinobi for this foul village. Now prepare to die, as I will kill you and Sarutobi-sensei today." Uchiha kept silent for a moment, then raised her hand to her face and bit off the middle finger, causing blood to ooze out everywhere, getting a look of utter shock from a temporarily paralyzed Orochimaru. She spat out the finger from her mouth, then the bitten finger slowly regrew, just as Uchiha showed it to Orochimaru in an insulting manner and said, "Does this look like a genjutsu to you, snake boy? Enough babbling. If you have come here to try and raise Konoha to the ground and hope to kill Hiruzen and capture Naruto-sama, then you have another thing coming. You are dealing with forces that are far above your miniature level, and you will pay dearly for even thinking of challenging our home and attempting to kidnap my master. For it is you who shall feel the Shinigami's cold touch and freezing breath when you enter the afterlife. This cannot be possible. There is not a single way her body could just do that and look like that. I need to be wary of her, as I don't know her arsenal of skills, and I feel as if capturing that brat will not be an accomplishment I can't take today. No matter, so long as I have done enough damage to this wretched place and kill Sarutobi-sensei, I will at least do something right with my plans. That temple is something I will try to find my way in another time." Orochimaru smirked again as he said, "The time to die is now near, Sarutobi-sensei, and while your teammate will be a hindrance to me now, I still have this one trick up my sleeve," does a few handsings, then slaps hands onto the floor summoning Impure World Reincarnation. 1. A dark casket rose from the ground at the command. 2. Another casket rose with Orochimaru laughing menacingly and said 3. With the last casket raising from the ground. The Sandai Ami panic at this and said to Kaharu, "Ho. We need to destroy the last casket, as I already know who he plans to resurrect to fight me. I can try." And he stopped talking when Kaharu looked over to him and smiled as she closed her eyes and then opened them, revealing that they have changed as the iris went from its black to white with an upside down star inside of it, and said to him with her voice being slightly deep, "Do not be afraid, old friend. I am here to help you finish what you have failed to do, and I will be with you every step of the way to make sure you don't die, as today is not your time to go." She turned back to the third casket, then closed her left eye with her right eye glaring at the casket and muttered Amaterasu. In just a second, black flames came flying out from Kaharu's right eye and burnt the casket to ashes, leaving not a single trace of the said casket behind except for a skeleton and the black flames still burning on the ground. Orochimaru's eye widened as he thought to himself again, while glaring daggers at Uchiha. Damn it. This old goat of a woman has the variant abilities of the Sharingan too. How can that even be possible in the first place? Ugh. How can I hope to kill sensei if I don't know anything about this woman and how far her limit goes? I need to release the other two before she can destroy them. The lids of the two caskets dropped to reveal the Shodaime and Nadame Hokage with dead skin on their person dressed in their battle armor looking extremely confused as the Shodaime said, "Brother, where are we? How are we alive again?" The Ito Tensei someone no looks behind him. "This young man here has brought us back to life and we are in some sort of barrier jutsu, meaning we cannot see just where exactly we are," said the Nadame Hokage. But his eyes soon landed on Hiruzen and a younger-looking Uchiha, then eye widened as he saw her eyes and continued. "Hashirama, look. I believe we are in Konoha as that is Sarutobi and Ko who looks much younger than Sarutobi and she has strange eyes, familiar eyes." "Sarutobi Kaharu, it's been a while and what happened to your eyes, Ko? They look a lot like some sort of Dojutsu like a Mangekyo Sharingan. Have you tried to transplant them into yourself?" Kaharu ignored the two reanimated Kages as she turned her attention to a paralyzed with shock Hiruzen and shook him a little as she said, "Hiruzen Sarutobi. Sandaime Hokage of Konohagakure no Sado and former member of Team Tobirama. I need you to snap out of it and focus this instant. You will handle your traitor of a student and leave sensei and the Shodaime to me. And do not hold back against him cause if you do, he will kill you." Orochimaru was smirking the whole time as he saw Hiruzen frozen with shock and casting a look of regret in his eyes to be seen and took out the kunai tagged with talismans and he said, "This is where you die, Sarutobi sensei. It is a little ironic, isn't it? Fighting the very two people who taught you all you know, but also dying at the hands of your greatest student who you cared far too much to kill when you had the chance. As for you, Kaharu-san. I may not know the full extent of your abilities and overall power, but I have much faith that these two will be able to distract you while I end your old fool of a team." MAT inserts the tagged kunai into the Shodaime then. Substitution jutsu. In the blink of an eye, Orochimaru found himself now standing beside Hiruzen who jumped away from him and got into a stance and looked to see Kaharu was standing behind the two reanimated Hokages and inserted her own tagged kunai into the Nadame Hokage. His eyes immediately lost all life, then turned to his brother, who also turned his focus at Tobirama and Kaharu, who got into a battle-ready stance with her eyes reverting back to normal, and said to Hiruzen. "Stop being afraid for once in your life and put aside your regret for what you have done in the past aside. You need to end this now." Inside the temple, the room that leads to all higher and lower floors of the building, here we see a tall man with tanned skin and an average build dressed in a pair of red shoes with long black trousers and a dark red matching trench coat held closed by two belts and has no shirt on revealing his bare chest. The man has a heart-shaped face devoid of any fat and has a black goatee with light red eyes and black hair with golden bangs. The man appears to be sitting on a red leather chair looking at the direction of the door and he was just on the phone with office as he placed the phone back into the left pocket of his pants. The man stood up from his seat and shouted middled. "Rainer. It's time we open up a gateway and set her free. Those bastards are on their way here and we need to act fast." Underneath the portrait of Kagaya Otsutsuki, two separate doors opened up with two feminine figures coming out from them. The first is a short girl with blue eyes and blonde hair styled in twin tails, wearing a gothic Lolita attire which consisted of a black Lolita dress with white frills. A large black bow on the front and a green jewel embedded on the collar along with white thigh-high socks and black shoes and has her hair tied by a black bow at the top of her head. The second and last woman is a young and very attractive woman who has long black hair with two bangs, covering the sides of her face with small fringes on her forehead, and has gorgeous violet eyes, as the woman is dressed in black flat shoes with a black loose short skirt, matching the black sleeveless jacket which is slightly open, revealing her well-toned stomach and lacy white bra that holds her KDD cup freeze in place. The black-haired woman identified as Rare looked at Azazel and said, "What exactly are we supposed to be releasing? I'm actually curious to find out what it is as this is a strange gateway that we're supposed to open. I was really looking forward to doing nothing but cleaning again today." The other woman, her girl, identified as Middle walked forward, then turned around to look up to Kagaya's portrait and pouted as she said, "Do we really have to open this gateway? Naruto-kun will be angry if that girl stains the temple with blood and I don't like it when he gets angry. Why don't we just put up the barrier and let Naruto-kun arrive to take care of the ninja outside? Because we have a contract, you blonde bimbo," said Rainer, who continued to speak while glaring at Middleton. "BEETEEDUBSBTW, don't lock me out of Naruto-kun's room again. Do you have any idea how big this place is? I nearly got lost in there for an hour before I found the elevation door. Azazel pinched the bridge of his nose and looked at Middle and Rainer go at each other back and forth before he had enough as he said, "You know what? I'm glad you're both staying here as I just can't deal with all of your bullshit any longer. First, I tell you not to go off trying to steal sacred gear, then you do the total opposite and try to steal every sacred gear in existence. Secondly, I told you not to go anywhere near that girl with the sacred gear that heals anything, then you once again do the total opposite by trying to take it from her and use it for yourselves for reasons I still don't care about. Now, I finally come to find out that Jashin-sama is fully awake and has a caretaker, then the first thing you three do is molest the poor kid at the first sight of him, chase him around in this temple in the nude, then sign yourselves away as his loyal sex slaves, for which again reasons I don't care about. Sigh. Maybe being around this kid has finally changed you two for the better, as you were both nothing but trouble when you were still back at Kuo. ANYWAYS claps hands. The contract I have signed with Naruto-sama states that if Konoha is to ever face an invasion, I am to open a gateway that will release Jashin-sama's first worshipper, who will defend the temple and the village, as once she is set free. The blood army of Jashin-sama will raise along with her to do her bidding, but the blood army will take about 3 years to fully be awakened again, so that will be my other job in the contract to do, which is watching over Jashin-sama's garden in the 33rd dimension. However, the reason why you two and myself are tasked to do this is because it takes 3 fallen angels to release a heathen of that power, and I was the only angel back in heaven, trusted with the hand signs and incantation to release this heathen. Now would you all just please behave so I can leave this place before anything happens like them noticing I am here. The two ladies blushed when Azazel mentioned what they had done in the other world they previously resided at and cast side glances, while furiously blushing at the mentioning of their new love interest Naruto, who had warmed his way into their cold, cruel and empty hearts at the first sight of him on the day of the contract signing between him and Azazel. Once Azazel explained to them the task they were given today, they recompassed themselves with the blushes subsiding as they had serious expressions planted on their faces and nodded as they both exclaimed in unison "Hi." And left the temple, then reappeared on the roof. Both of the women grew black wings on their backs, then slowly flew up the sky as they each stood in triangular position with Azazel joining them with his wings out as well, and they all started doing the same hand signs at the same time for 2 minutes. Down below them, the Suna Oto forces had already stormed their way through the gates of Konoha while fighting some of the Konoha ninja on their way and destroying some of the homes, stores and buildings, which was actually the whole objective of the invasion. Then 148 of them made it to the temple with Kabuto leading them ahead, who was still dressed in the black cloak but with his regular attire underneath it and discarded the mask he had on for his glasses. The right-hand man of Orochimaru walked up the large doors, then tried to push his chakra scalpel right hand through the center, only to see that it did not even make a dent on the doors or try to make a hole through them. Sigh, this isn't going to be as easy as I thought it would be. These doors are clearly made of some type of strong stone that has chakra inside of it, making it nearly indestructible as a way to keep intruders out from breaking in the temple, which might I add, has no other doors or windows to enter through. When I was still spying on Naruto-kun, these doors just magically opened up for him without even doing a hand sign or smearing his blood over the doors, which means there has to be some sort of chakra signature sensor somewhere on the doors or the steps behind me, or perhaps an advanced seal that works on a telepathic command. But I still have hunch that this doors must have some type of chakra pathway inside of them, similar to a person's chakra network, and if I can just find where to disconnect these doors to the core where the chakra comes from, maybe they can open up and hopefully not self-destruct and create new doors from the old ones. Either way, Orochimaru-sama only wanted to try and see if the normal way of breaking in works for now. After that, he will most likely try something different to go in and out with anything valuable he can find in there. If I report back and tell him that way won't work, he'll try and think of another way in some time later, since the main objective is killing the Sandaime Hokage and capturing Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun second, but by watching Naruto-kun's fight with the Hyuga, anyone Orochimaru-sama sends to try and fight him will turn up dead anyways. This just leads me to believe he will try something else with Naruto-kun when the time comes. Kabuto then turned to the men before him and said Orochimaru-sama has given me the objective that these doors need to be destroyed. In order for that to happen, you will all do whatever you can to get rid of these doors. You all have explosion tags and bombs, so make the most of that and anything else you have that will help take these large doors down. But why not just have the Ichibi destroy them? This temple seems kinda hard to break through was what one of the shinobi standing in front said, only to be met with a chakra scalpel to the head, causing him to collapse on his back already dead from his brain being stabbed by the scalpel. Kabuto looked up to the frightened men and said, "You wanna know why? Because a tailed beast bomb from a tailed beast could or could not destroy this entire temple. Now all of you get to work, or you will all be following your little comrade down here." Obito hopped away to a northern direction, which is where the Hokage Tower is, and left the men who quickly got to work on trying to bust open the doors. Back with Azazel and the two fallen angel women being Middleton Rainer, they finally stopped at the serpent hand sign, then in just a second, their entire forms were glowing red, with their eyes all being completely black, and their skin also turning black with white lines traveling up to their eyes. They remained silent for a brief 2 minutes, then spoke with their voices all being a deeper and darker tone. From the ashes of the resurrected. From the bones of the cursed. From the screams of the innocent and the blood of the sinned. The first of the 666 shall bleed in your name, as your blood will be your rage and wrath that will warm the battlefield and scatter across the land, as her great avalanche and sandstorm to raise the world to its feet, then down to its knees with your might. When night turns to day, the eye of hell shall shed tears for your petals to kill its mistakes and forsaken its wishes, as the moon will turn a blind eye at your beauty. We call upon the gate of blood to open and release the great blood ghoul and queen of the blood army. Come forth to Kaya. In the sky just above the three fallen angels who immediately vanished from sight after the last word of the incantation, a small portal with a black circle surrounding it opened, and what could be seen inside the portal is nothing but blood waiting to be dropped, as the blood looks completely red with black leeches swimming inside of it. The Odo and Suna shinobi working on the door saw this from the shadow it made on them, and they all froze as they waited for something to happen, seeing as the movement of the blood was hypnotizing at first sight, with their senses of danger switching off, leaving the said men to mindlessly look up at the open portal. In just a split second. Splash. A huge amount of the blood came out spilling from the portal, then directly flew towards the shinobi who were standing at the temple, still looking at the blood flying towards them with empty eyes, as none of them even made a move to run or hide from the falling blood. The blood splashed onto the shinobi and made a hissing sound when in contact with their bodies, as the blood burnt them all like flesh to acid, eating all the flesh and leaving nothing but clean white skeletons behind, with the many shinobi crying and screeching out in pain before they were eaten away by the red blood. The blood then raised up into the air as soon as there was no flesh left to eat, and slowly began to take the form of a young woman with her right eye, having its surla being black with a crimson red iris, and the left socket of her left eye being completely empty. After a full 4 minutes of the blood taking a humanoid form, the blood soon turned to skin, revealing the woman's magnificent naked body, with her legs being very long and smooth, going up to her nice and firm buttocks, then showing her smooth curves with her flat stomach and gorgeous cup wrists, having perky pink nipples, as the woman's face appears to be heart-shaped with a small but cute mouth and nose, and the woman's hair becomes a dark blue color, with some of the hair shaping her face in a bowl-cut manner, with most of her hair forming a large bang, closing her empty left eye socket. The woman slowly levitated down to the top of the temple, then looked around at the leftover bones of the shinobi her blood had eaten their flesh from. Her back hunched over, then spat. Large wings came out from her back with blood spilling everywhere at her feet, as her neck began to have leeches traveling down to her feet, then back to her stomach before they vanished from sight. The woman first had a stoic expression on her face upon looking at the destruction that was happening before her very eye, then cracked a smile as she sensed the presence of her god and savior Jashin, along with the powerful chakra source of her god's master and caretaker, to which she whispered soon. She flew off into the direction of the clothing store, then landed right into it as she blasted through the glass of the store. She looked around for a while, then found a white extra-large formal shirt, which got her to smile as she said to herself, "He will like this on me, I hope he does. I have nothing else to wear, since Jashin-sama burnt all my clothes away. I am nothing as I am naked, but with THIS feels the fabric of the shirt. I am as open-minded and focused for the present, just as Jashin-sama's caretaker is, and I will have a conscience about everything I do just like him. I hope he finds me welcoming." She took the shirt and put it on with her wings subsiding into her back, then the wings returned making holes in the shirt where her wings came out from. She buttoned up the shirt, then fixed a collar as she buttoned up the cufflinks at her wrists and walked out the store. Her right ear twitched, then looked to her right to see a fleet of shinobi running for the Shinobi Academy, while they destroyed every shop in their path, leaving nothing unturned or unharmed. I need to eat. But with this on, I feel sad if I was to feast on innocent human beings. Jashin-sama's master only wants the wretched sinners of this world to die and leave him in peace, so I will eat them instead. She flew towards the shinobi, then landed right in front of them, causing them to halt to a stop. All of the man looked at her with eyes of lust and eye-raping her almost naked form. But those eyes of lust soon turned to stares of horror when she leaped for one of them, then bit off the shinobi's right ear and nose as she chewed the flesh and swallowed it down, with a gulping sound being clearly heard. She didn't even stop there as her right hand stabbed the man's chest open with her hand, capturing his heart, then sinking her teeth into the flesh as she savored the blood that came with every bite of the organ before she ate the whole organ finished. The men ran for their lives screaming in terror of the blue-haired woman they called a cannibal monster, but none were able to escape as she got to all of them and ate separate organs from each of them while leaving their brains to be. Once she was done with that, she rubbed her belly sensually as she could feel herself being full from her small lunch of the men who tried to destroy the village of her god's lover and master. Uzumaki Naruto is the name of Jashin-sama's master. I have already protected the temple, and now I will protect him. Leaving a pile of dead bodies behind, the blue-haired one-eyed woman flew off towards Naruto's signature and smiled to herself as the many images of his face came to her mind. Naruto Uzumaki. It has been about 30 minutes since the invasion of Odo and Suna started in Konoha, and things were now beginning to go in the favor of Konoha as the evacuation was successful, the snake summons were beaten and defeated by Kakashi, Guy, Asuma and Jiraiya with the Toad summons being of assistance, and the Odo-Suna forces were finally being reduced to a minimum level, with some of them fleeing or rather retreating, seeing as they could no longer hope to take on the Konoha forces, with their comrades being killed like ants at every step of the way. Sasuke was sent off to the Uchiha compound and guarded by Kakashi to make sure the duck-butt-haired Uchiha was not captured and taken away to Odo, since the Sandaime had finally figured it out why his treacherous student wanted the Uchiha in the first place. The injured were being taken care of, and now we see Naruto standing above an exhausted and unconscious Gaara, who fought Naruto for the past half an hour using Shikaku's chakra and giving the Ichibi full control, which was still nothing compared to the last remaining Uzumaki. Naruto crouched down, then looked up to a tree on his left and said, "I know you're there, Temari-san. You can come out now as I promise I won't hurt you or your brother here." The blonde Suna Kunoichi hopped down from a tree on Naruto's left side and reluctantly stepped forward as she said to Naruto, "Please don't kill him, Gaara and Kankuro are all I have left in this world now. I know that he may be sadistic and insane, but is still my brother. I have tried a lot to reach out to him, but every time I would, another wall would raise up when I would break down another just to get to him. He wasn't supposed to be like this in the first place. It was our stupid father who got that demon sealed into him, then treated him like a freak all his life because he was afraid of him. Gaara grew up on his own, feared by the people of the village who shunned him away and drove him to this. I know that there isn't much hope for him to be fine, but I still want to try and help him get past this and be the person our mother wanted him to be." Naruto looked up to Temari and gave her one of his true smiles and responded to her. "Believe me, I know what has been through. All that stuff I said back at the stadium when I was fighting Neji, it's all true, but I can tell Gaara has been through a lot worse in his life as I can see he has lost the ability to trust and care for anyone. All I am doing is helping him by severing the Ichibi's influence on him for now. The reason why he became crazy is that this seal wasn't made well, and it's very loose, giving the Ichibi an advantage to badly affect Gaara's mind state, causing him to be like this. Once I fasten up this seal properly, Gaara will be much better, but it will be up to you and Kankuro-san to take care of him and mend his mind and soul back together. My help with the seal is only providing you with bandages and some ointment to heal his wounds. You and your brother will have to treat them all as time goes by." After a few minutes of working on the seal, Naruto was finally done with it and walked away from Gaara as he said to his fellow blonde there, all done grins, "You guys should probably get going before anyone else finds you. Your brother isn't far from here, so I'd hurry if I were you." "Thanks, Naruto-san," said Temari as she picked up her brother, then said to Naruto, "For what it's worth, I'm really sorry our village did this to Konoha. If there is anything you need from us, we'll help you in any way we can." Then hopped off in the direction where Kankuro is, leaving Naruto to himself. In a tree just behind Naruto, a mysterious Anbu wearing a white mask with the Kenji for Na was watching Naruto closely as he was holding some type of syringe on his left hand while his right was pressing the ear speaker on his right ear. "Remember, make sure he doesn't detect you and incapacitate him with that sleeping injection. Nothing else can work on him, so that syringe is my last resort to bringing him here to the base for further experimentation." "Understood, Danzo-sama." The white-masked Anbu silently jumped out of the tree, then leaped forward to Naruto, only to be caught in mid-air by the red-winged one-eyed woman who caught him by biting the right side of his neck hard, then grabbing his shoulder with her hands. Naruto turned and looked up to see this, then eye widened and blushed at seeing the Anbu being bitten by a mysterious woman who is barely wearing anything except for a white long-sleeve formal shirt, which showed Naruto every inch of what's between her legs underneath the shirt. The blue-haired woman with red wings landed with a bitten victim into some bushes, and all Naruto could hear is the sound of chewing with gulping, causing him to eye widen again at understanding full well what the woman was doing. "She's eating that root Anbu mat eating. That must mean she is. After 5 minutes, the woman came out from the bushes with a little blood on her mouth area, then walked up to Naruto as she bowed to him and said, "My apologies for letting you see me feast on a fleshing, Naruto-sama. My name is Taka Otsutsuki, and I am the daughter and first creation of Jashin-sama. I am the first worshipper and soldier of the Jashinist religion, as I am the Ghoul Queen and second general of Jashin-sama's blood army. I'm happy to be finally free and once again doing Jashin-sama's bidding while praising her name and yours as I feast on the flesh of the damned and sinned and have their souls ripped apart by the holy scythe of Jashin-sama. Naruto, who was shocked at first, later began to look at the now identified Taka and said, "You are Jachan's creation. Her firstborn. You don't look like anything she has described you to be. If Jashin-sama has told you that I am a merciless bloodthirsty monster who feels no emotions for its victims or anyone besides Jashin-sama, then you should know that what she said is true. However, my ideals along with my appetite normally depend on what I wear and what are the ideals she has. Before you found her, and before her mother laid her to sleep, Jashin-sama truly lived up to her title as the god of blood and destruction almost everywhere in the cosmos, even with the members of her family. When her mother would use the powers of the chakra fruit to stop all of the wars between humanity, Jashin-sama was there painting the battlefield with the blood of those who would ever come to try and stand up to her mother Kagaya Otsutsuki, or her father. Even before that, Jashin-sama was known to be a god of calamity in other galaxies, as many civilizations that could not be reasoned with or controlled would fall to non-existence and massacred at her power and wrath. She created me to become one of her two most dangerous weapons when her blood army came to defend the kingdom of death many millennia ago. I was her tool for killing and her paintbrush to use to paint the beauty of blood and war everywhere war she would go to, as her presence brought nothing but endless death and necessary bloodshed. Me and my brother wore red clothing in that time, and I was known to be a demon without an inch of sense or care for any other person besides my creator and my younger brother Alucard. I killed anything my eye would see, and I wouldn't stop eating the flesh of my victims until there was nothing left of them. When Jashin-sama went to sleep, she had all my clothes burned away and sent me to a dimension she personally created for me to reside in and stay there until she would be awakened by the one her mother and father deemed to be Jashin-sama's lover, master and caretaker, and the one who would hold the true everlasting grace and power of Jashin-sama's late father. Ano, does the same rule her parents made apply to you and your brother too? Naruto asked, and Taka nodded as she said, those who fall under Jashin-sama and were created or are in gratitude to her, will praise you too, since you are her object of fear and affection. Jashin-sama grows stronger every second as we, the great and bloody heathens all pray to her even in her sleep, and her power flows through to you too, when she gets it from our praises and sacrifices all done in her name. It is why she has dubbed you the being who will take up the natural essence of her father and be the greatest being that ever lived, a being of good who controls evil. Though, I am surprised that you do not seem baffled or unconscious at my honey scent mixed with blood or my lack of clothing that is very much revealing to your supernatural eyes. Am I not attractive to you, Naruto-sama? Am I ugly in your eyes? Naruto was stunned to silence at the question, but his expression saddened when he saw a teardrop fall from her right eye and brought his hands up, frantically waving them as he said to Taka, no. You are attractive, Taka-san. Really, you are. It's just that I grew up seeing and experiencing a lot of stuff like nudity and sex that has caused me to be nearly desensitized to seeing women dressed the way you are or not wearing a single inch of clothing on them. But wait, why are you crying if you don't really feel any emotions like Jachan says? Aoka wiped the teardrop away, then took Naruto's right hand and brought it to her right wrist, pushing his fingers deep into the mound of flesh where her heart is located in her body. Naruto blushed heavily at this, but felt a heartbeat under the mound of flesh, causing him to look up to Taka, who said, that heart you feel wasn't beating before. Being a monster who doesn't feel meant that I shouldn't have a beating heart. But because of how Jashin feels about you and how she values your ideals and her caring for you and everyone else you care about, she has grown to be more emotional than she was before, and this also affects me. It's like an emotional connection between a puppet and a puppet master. Oh, okay, takes backhand. Look, Taka-chan, how about we go to the temple and you can tell me more about yourself there? Maybe then I can pick out some proper clothing for you instead of this, said Naruto. Aoka nodded in agreement, then her red wings flipped out from her back as she asked him, would you like to sit on my back and fly to the temple? Jashin-sama says that I fly like a dragon chasing the coldest wind in the time of heat, and my back is the most comfortable thing she has ever sat on. Smiles nervously with a sweat drop. Actually, Taka-chan, I'll take us there without anyone having to see you in your current state. I'm not exactly comfortable with you walking or flying around in that. Now grab a hold of my shoulder so we can leave. I doubt that will be the last attempt Danzo will try on me, and next time, there won't be a next time, said Naruto, as he narrowed his eyes in the direction of what's left of the remains of the Rutanin, tasked to kidnap him. Taka placed her right hand on Naruto's shoulder, and with a matter of seconds they left in a black flash, leaving no trace of them behind. Oh, how long have we been in here? For about 30 minutes, Sarutobi. Have you tried to kill Orochimaru yet? No, it seems no matter what I do, he always seems to be one step closer to me and finding a way to get rid of him. Enma has managed to hide the Kusanagi in this dampened forest made by Hashirama-sensei, but Orochimaru is currently fighting 3 of my shadow clones as we speak. Do you need more chakra? No. I know, we need to end this now as this battle has gone on long enough. If I can't kill Orochimaru, then I will at least try to fatally injure him. I will need your help with this, Ko. Inside the barrier, hiding in a very dense forest made from a wood-release jutsu, is Hiruzen and Kaharu, as their fight between Orochimaru is still happening as they speak, and now drawing close to an end with the Shodaime and Nadame Hokage being successfully defeated. Kaharu, still dressed in the female Anbu attire with no shoes on, reached for a small scroll in her back pocket and unsealed its contents, which happened to be a mask from the Uzumaki shrine. While I was training back the temple alongside Anko-sama and Naruto-sama, I was trained to use this mask without having to feel immobilized or slowed down by the effects of the Shinigami's suffocating presence and killer intent. I was using this just now to send both the Shodaime and Tobirama-sensei to the Shinigami's stomach. If you need my assistance in injuring your student, I already have an idea that could stop him from using jutsu for the time being, before he transfers his soul into another body, just as you were told by Jiraiya. I see, you want to take his arms away from him. Smirks, I see you are finally able to think on your feet, Monkey San smirks. You need to do a ninja art that blinds his sense of sight for a few seconds, and I will do the rest. With a single nod, Hiruzen hopped out the forest, then appeared beside his clones with a tired Orochimaru standing before them, and said, Orochimaru, this fight has continued long enough, and it is time for me to rectify the mistake I have done by you. You talk as if you have some sort of an advantage over me, sensei, but I can see you have no other options in trying to kill me. However, I have countless other ways to take down an old monkey like yourself. Do you think that staff of yours can hide my Kusanagi from me? Said Orochimaru, who cackled menacingly while holding his head, then held out his left hand to his left side. In a matter of seconds, his blade came back flying into his possession, and a poof of smoke could be heard somewhere in the dense forest, meaning that Hiruzen's staff has returned to Makai to heal, since it could no longer help in the battle against his pedophile treacherous student. Fufufu, do you still think you have a chance against me, old man? Said Orochimaru. Hiruzen gave his former student a stern gaze, and responded, not even a second later, chances are never given, but they are only made and taken. I had so many chances with you, and I missed many. But I will be assured that one day you will fall for your crimes against Konoha and all of humanity, and I believe that you will not see the day of your death coming, Orochimaru. The 3 clones of the slightly winded Sandaime Hokage poofed away, then he started to do hand signs and exclaimed, ninja art. Souring darkness jutsu. Before Orochimaru could stop the Sandaime from executing the jutsu, all he could see was darkness, but he could hear the faint sounds of footsteps, with the sound of leaves blowing from the trees, and he could very much smell the odor around him, meaning that all his other senses still worked, but only his sense of sight was gone. Taking away my sight will only hinder me slightly, you old fool. But I can still sense your chakra signature. I know where you are, and I don't need my eyes to kill an old bat like yourself, Sensei Fufufu. It seems like the signature of your old teammate has vanished, meaning she must have died by now. You are all alone now, Sarutobi-sensei, just like you always have been, said Orochimaru with an evil smirk, threatening to tear his pale face in half. He felt Hiruzen's chakra spike behind him, then jumped out of the way as a fireball came past, then exploded into the trees, starting a forest fire. Just as he was about to speak again, he felt some sort of killer intent that was trying to suffocate him, then he felt cold hands reach into his torso, making the pale snake Sanin shiver, as he could feel his very soul being violated, with his arms going a little numb. The darkness before his eyes was soon gone, revealing Uchiha now standing right in front, him wearing a mask with a tall and monstrous transparent being hovering behind her as her 2 hands were reaching inside of him. He could feel a sharp pain in his arms and tried to move them, only to feel that he was slowly losing the feeling of his arms. He grunted and glared at the former village elder before him and yelled at her, ugh. What are you doing? Taking away the one thing you can't achieve, you foolish dream without, said Uchiha, giving a super stern gaze, and didn't even look a bit tired or winded at her constant use of chakra against a reanimated Shodaime, and now connecting herself with the Shinigami to seal away his arms into the said being's belly. His grip on the Kusanagi loosened, making the sword fall to the ground, but motioned it to stab Uchiha with only 2 fingers controlling the poisonous blade. Squeech. The blade went right through Uchiha and made a hole where her heart is, which is just at her right wrist, causing Orochimaru to smirk, believing that he was finally able to kill her once and for all, with a simple move of stabbing her heart, of which he was sure couldn't regenerate like the finger she bit off. However, he was still losing feeling in his arms, and the smirk was turned upside down, gritting his teeth in pain, as he felt his arms completely leaving him. He looked up to see the hole in Udatane's chest patch itself right up like there was never a wound there, and she removed the mask from her face, causing the death-like aura around her to leave, with a transparent being hovering behind her to leave as well. You really don't pay attention to the things that are right in front of you, Snake Boy. No matter what you do to me, I cannot be killed by a blade, by poison or any other way you can think of killing me. With just my blood alone, my body can regenerate itself back and I won't feel a single inch of pain. Darn it all Ka. Ta Yuya, Seiken, Yukin, Jirobo. Drop the barrier now and take me back to Odo this instant. The barrier dropped down, and the 4 teens came to Orochimaru's aid, with the fat-looking one helping him up and said to the others, "We gotta leave now before those Anbu arrive. Orochimaru-sama looks hurt and we gotta hurry as fast as we can." "You always have to state the fucking obvious, don't you, you fat funk?" said the red-headed teen who was met with a glare from her fellow Odo ninja and a Tokage. Orochimaru glared daggers at a calm Udatane with a fuming expression planted on his look of pain sketched across his face and said to her, "You and that blasted old fool will pay for this. You haven't harmed the last of me. The Uchiha will be mine. And so will that bastard child who you call your master. I will kill you, Kahari Udatane, if it's the last thing I do. I am afraid I will become deaf. Therefore, I will be hearing the last of you soon." Orochimaru narrows eyes. "Slither away while you still can, that it was what you are truly best at. I hope to cross paths with you again so I can finish off your pathetic existence and free the many souls you have robbed their goodness in life, from I will end you." Branko-sama was what Udatane said with Herzuin now standing beside her, and Orochimaru fled the scene while looking at his former sensei and his teammate in anger of him of not being able to win the fight against the two, but knew that another day will come for him to take them on again, and he will in his words be more immortal than he ever was and kill the both of them without hesitation. "Do you think it wise for him to leave, Ko? With your Sharingan, you can kill him while he is still weak. I don't know why, but I feel like this really isn't the time and place for killing him. I believe it is my sense of pride as Naruto-sama's servant that I want to fight him at his best and not when he is a limping and wounded dog. Either way, Konoha is safe again, but this should be a lesson to these shinobi and Kunoichi that they have been lowering their guards too much to allow the enemy to hide in plain sight and read Konoha like an open book." "Ah. That is most true, Ko. Maybe the next Hokage and the shift in political power happening soon can make this village reach its peak once again. Oh, it will, but that will only happen when Naruto-sama cleanses the elemental nations of all hatred and tyranny. And that within itself is a never-ending process, as the cycle of hatred is something that is a part of human nature. Chakra or no chakra. Tuckles, I still cannot get over the fact that you truly care for the boy now, Ko. But it seems that he unknowingly changes the people around him, and even those who have lost the ability to feel, trust, and care for others, you of all people should know that, Ko." "Indeed," Saratobi smiles, "I am his victim of change, but I am glad to be by his side every day." Once Orochimaru and his teenage guards were out of sight, 4 Anbu appeared before the Sandaime and were about to chase Orochimaru and his guards, but were stopped by Hiruzen who said do no attempt to go after him. Let him leave. He is already not worth the killing as he can't do anything for himself anymore. He is far beyond arresting, and only ending his work and existence is the answer to the question of his life. The Anbu nodded at him, but still stood before him as one of them said, "Hokage-sama, the invasion was successfully derailed and the Suna Odo forces have been taken care of. Jiraiya-sama and the other Jounin are still taking care of the remaining snake summons, and there are few that have been injured, but they are being cared for as we speak, and the evacuation was a success as no civilians were harmed or killed in the event of the invasion. A few buildings have been knocked down, and there was an attempt of breaking into your office. We had managed to stop the suspect before he could take anything, but we were not able to apprehend him. Great work, OSUUSHI-OX. Konoha stands tall again for yours and everybody's great efforts today in making sure we all see tomorrow, but learn from yesterday to keep the present. Sigh, I am getting too old for this shit," said Hiruzen, who walked over to the edge of the roof and folded his arms over his chest. Udatane walked up to him and said, "You were already old when the Yondaime Hokage and Kushina-sama passed, Hokage-sama." There was a brief moment of silence for a few minutes, but it soon ended when Hiruzen smiled as he responded to Udatane. "Today will be known as the day Konoha's will of fire burned brightly in its hour of darkness, and this will be my last time defending this village as its Hokage. Tomorrow will be a new day that marks the end of the storm and the rays of the sun." Again, the moment of silence returned as Hiruzen smiled at hearing the cheers of the people in the village and the sound of battle coming to an end, meaning that Konoha is once again standing tall and proud from an enemy that has tried to take it down. Udatane was smiling too, but her smile came from the thoughts of her blonde master and the clan she was now proud to say she belonged to and helped defend its land. This won't be the last time Konoha faces danger, but I now know that after every fight and battle it goes through, this land will get stronger and stronger, and Naruto-sama will soon be the symbol of this village and country, and always be there to defend it from any evil that tries to spread across it. For now, he dreams of being Hokage, but with his ever-growing power and ability to touch anything empty and void into positive gold, he will be the one to take the name and title of Jashin-sama's father and blow down the cycle of hatred in this world and possibly others, if not the entire plane of existence itself. The journey has just begun, and it will only get more difficult from here on. But I will always stand beside him through thick and thin and be one of his women that will be willing to do anything for him when the time comes. Naruto-sama. 2 weeks later. Konohagakure no Sado. The Hokage Tower. In the Hokage's office, Naruto and Shikamaru were now standing in front of the Hokage's desk, with Kakashi, Jiraiya, Shikaku, Ino and Choji standing behind the two, all smiling proudly for their teammate and friend as Naruto and Shikamaru were the only ones to pass the chunin exams and get the promotion to chunin. This year's chunin exams have been anything but normal. With the second stage and last stage being disrupted, the both of you and your comrades have showed determination and dedication to continuing and protecting Konoha's will of fire while still learning from it as you go. Shikamaru Nara, your intelligence has helped you see past the many errors of what to face in the battlefield and save your fellow brethren from defeat and death many times over. Even though you may have your clan's apathy and lack of motivation, you do know when to raise above the challenges ahead and move forward to face what lies ahead with a plan already in mind. Naruto Uzumaki, you of all your fellow comrades have experienced the most in your short time of being a genin, and it is for that reason that your experiences have been shared amongst them. You were placed in a team that clearly seemed like it will fall any second and end before it would begin, but you still made the most of your teammates, even when they didn't want to work with you. You have unlocked your clan's true potential, and we have all seen that you are well capable of fighting for what's right and still being able to change the very same enemies you come across. I have received word that Konohagakure no Sado would kindly like to apologize for aiding Orochimaru in the attempt to invade Konoha and will help pay for whatever damages they have caused to the village. They also told me the Ichibi Jinchuriki has made a dramatic change in his life, and it is all because of you, Naruto, for setting him straight and see that even though he has suffered a great deal of pain at such a young age, he is now well able to forgive others and share his pain with his siblings, just as you have shared your pain with Anko, Kakashi and your other loved ones. The Sandaime stood up from his chair, then walked to the clothing drawer of the office to take out 4 chunin flak jackets. It is with great pleasure and joy that I, Hiruzen Sarutobi the Sandaime Hokage, promote Naruto Uzumaki and Shikamaru Nara to official chunin of Konohagakure no Sado. The Sandaime smiled to the 2 young men before him and handed them their flak jackets, to which they bowed in thanks, while saying their thanks to Hiruzen. The Sandaime then turned to Ino and Choji and continued. While the both of you and teammate have not passed the chunin exams, the council and myself have acknowledged your efforts during the time of the invasion to help evacuate the civilians and keep everyone alive with your other comrades. It is for that reason why the both of you and Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburami are promoted to official chunin of Konoha as well. Ino screamed in celebration of the promotion and cried happily, while Choji also exclaimed his joy, but then said something about the higher the pay means more food to buy, which got him a bonk on the head by Ino, with everyone laughing at Ino and Choji's antics. Asuma, Ino, Choji, Shikamaru and his father all left the office and said their goodbyes, only leaving Naruto, Jiraiya and Kakashi with Hiruzen there. Naruto turned to the Sandaime and asked, so what's gonna happen to Sakura and Sasuke? After a week of the invasion, the Fire Daimyo was here to address the issue of the civilian council members and told the village that anything those people have fortified, bribed or influenced was to be taken away with immediate effect or reversed. So when those civilians were arrested and executed for their crimes, all their wrongdoing on the village was investigated then corrected. Sakura Haruno's file, according to Iruka's report, shows that even though she had spent a full 4-year term in the academy, she has learned absolutely nothing and never wrote a single written test or spar with others or show any progress as a kunoichi whatsoever. She passed the genin exams with the help of her father, who in this case bribed Mizuki and blackmailed Iruka into letting her pass the day before the exams were held. Because of this, Sakura Haruno will be dropped from Konoha's shinobi system and will be under constant watch for 8 hours of the day, since her parents were involved in the crimes of the previous batch of the civilian council, rendering her to be an operan. But Sasuke Uchiha, he is to remain a genin and be transferred to one of the new genin teams that will be made next January, since Team 7 is now disbanded. That is actually some good news. So when do I get to take that hat from you, Jai-san? Said Naruto, only to be met with laughs from both Jiraiya and Hiruzen. This greatly confused Naruto, who said no seriously. I don't think you have any other candidates to take the position as Hokage, and you have already announced your retirement to the village. Is it me? Or have you found someone else to be the Gondaime? And please don't say it's Konohamaru. Actually, Naruto-kun, it's not up to me to decide who takes the position after me, as that decision is made by the council and the fire daimyo. They are still making up a short list and will decide who gets to be the Gondaime Hokage demo. You can still keep your fingers crossed if that is what you are doing behind your back. Before the Sandaime could continue speaking to Naruto, Jashin, who is dressed in a pair of black shorts with a white tank top still wearing no shoes, appeared before them and said sorry to Intro. It's over. Anyways, Naruto-sama, Yuta-chan has sent me to come and get you since the party has already started and the exquisite buffet she has made is really starting to grow spiderwebs since no one won't eat before you do. No. Rainer Heim and Middle-chan said they both have an awesome gift to give you tonight and they can't wait any longer for you. So you need to come home, no. And here is In-kun. Jashin walked up the desk and playfully glared at the Sandaime as she said, speaks in New York Italian accent, remember the deal me and you have, alright. I get you the water, and you make hide and go kaboom kabish. Hi Jashin-sama. Without even saying goodbye to his sensei, godfather and the Sandaime, Naruto was pulled in a hug and vanished from the office, with red symbols circling him and Jashin as their forms left the room in a white light. I gotta do some stuff back at the apartment that needs my attention, and then I have to meet Guy for the weekly challenge. I'll see you soon, Jiraiya-sama, Hokage-sama said Kakashi, who left the room in a poof of smoke. Jiraiya turned to his sensei with a sigh and said well, it looks like things are gonna be getting better around here, sensei. It does seem that way, Jiraiya. But who knows what kind of challenges and trials lie ahead, as the future will always be a mystery like a mist-filled road. I can't help but feel that Naruto will be the center of a lot of things that will happen here in the village, the country and possibly the elemental nations, if not the world as a whole. It sure does seem that way, doesn't it sigh? His parents would be proud if they saw him today, especially his mother Kushina. She always had big plans for Naruto, and now, it seems like they are all set in motion with the first one being a success. Well, I gotta leave, sensei. I'll be back to get Naruto when you announce who will be the Gondaime. Demo, you already know who it is since you didn't want to take the position. Yeah well, I'll start searching for her when I get the chance, and that's why I'm saying the Gaki should tag along when you give me the mission to go and get her to come back. Besides, you know she won't come back since the civilians and that man lied to her, saying that Naruto died on the day of the QB attack, along with Kushina. Well, I'll see you soon sensei. Jiraiya hopped out the window and reappeared on an orange giant toad which hopped away. There was silence in the office as the Sandaime looked at the paperwork in front of him, then reached for his drawer to take out his pipe and start smoking. Life, it is a journey we all walk, and a journey that is far more stranger than anything we humans can comprehend. I hope Naruto's life will continue to change others, as his journey will be the strangest and possibly the hardest of them all. The Sandaime stood up from his chair, then turned to look at the moon that was now settling up in the sky and with the sun setting down. I may not know who you are or what kind of person you may be, but I know that you are watching over Naruto as we speak, and you will continue to watch over him as he faces his hardships, and triumphant over them, you and his parents will continue to guide him on this path we all call life. Kagaya Otsutsuki. I desperately pray that you do so, for tomorrow is never promised, and Naruto is yet to fight the many odds he will face, sigh. The day is a sunny Monday with the sun already rising to the very top of the sky, and the people of Konoha were already out and about living their daily lives, with others opening up shop, heading to work, or for some others, going to the missions administration's office for missions to do for the day, month or year, whatever rank or pay they would get for the time being. However, inside one of the many gold-plated bedrooms of the temple is one Naruto Uzumaki sleeping comfortably in a queen-size bed with a naked middle, hugging his right arm and resting her head on his shoulder. In a fire shunshin, Yuta appears in the room dressed in her female anbu attire with no shoes, showing her feet and colorless toenails obviously, and her fox mask hiding her beautiful face. She looks down to see her master was still fast asleep with a lowly fallen angel sleeping by his side as well, and frowned at the thought she was now going to disturb his sleep, as that was one of the many things Naruto didn't like happening to him. Well, apart from a series of events many would call bad luck and ending up with humans who love him right off the bat of the acquaintance, then becoming his servants without his consent in the matter, yeah, that's what he doesn't like. He would always tell her that he could wake up on his own time, but he somehow fails to do that as she once left him to be, and he ended up sleeping the whole day and waking up 4 in the PM. She gently removed her mask showing her beautiful face and dark eyes, then walked over to Naruto's side of the bed and crouched down as she said to him. Nah, Naruto-sama, it's time to wake up, Naruto-sama. The former elder was met with gloss black white ringed eyes that slowly opened up with a yawn and sitting up, then Naruto turned to her and said thanks, Yuta-chan. I would have slept in if it wasn't for you. You made breakfast yet? Hi, Naruto-sama. Milk and cereal is at the kitchen waiting for you, and I have washed your clothes and headband, just as you asked me to. It's all there in the wardrobe when you're done with your shower. Naruto sat at the edge of the bed, revealing his white boxers and a little something pink with a small hole in the center, peeking out between his legs, causing Yuta-tane to blush and quickly look away. Well, she said maybe I should take my leave, Naruto-sama. I have a Anbu business to take care of. If you need me, just call and I'll be there by your sea. Nonsense. Today's your day off like Nico-sen said. Just hang in the temple and have some fun. You do know how to have fun, right? Lemon scene happened. Naruto eye rolled at this and was about to say something when. Poof. The toad appeared through a poof of smoke on the kitchen counter as it said to Naruto, hey kid, Jiraiya sent me to tell you a council meeting is being held right now about who will be the Gondaime Hokage. You better hurry your ass over there quickly or else you'll miss out on who it will be. Then left again in a poof of smoke. Naruto eye widened at this with white dinner plates, then quickly gave both Jashin and Taka a peck on the cheeks before he left in a black flash. Jashin was looking at her cards, then looked at Taka in the eye as she said. Who's your pick, Taka-chan? Remember that she needs to be someone who has lost someone dear to her and is looking for a change of pace and in her life and has a dream she wishes to achieve but feels she can't accomplish it on her own and she has to be smoking hot obviously. Taka kept silent for a moment, then placed a card down on the table that has a blue-haired woman with an origami flower in her hair on it as she responded to her god creator. Conan. She was born in a megacure and lost her parents to the Second Shinobi War. She met two boys, namely Yahiko and Nagato Uzumaki, and lived with them ever since, as they both began to share the same ideals and dreams for peace in aim, then peace for the world. She later lost Yahiko, who was her best friend, which has greatly affected her life, but still managed to keep her humanity. But her other best friend Nagato didn't, as he became the shell of his former self and now only works to achieve the goal of capturing all Jinchuriki and extracting the Biju to create something he clearly doesn't know well about. Conan has found out who was behind the death of her best friend Yahiko, along with manipulating Nagato, and has been training herself into the ground ever since to get back at him, kill him, then try and help her friend deal with the lose of Yahiko, so that he could realize that all he has been doing was wrong and should be himself once again. The Megacure no Sato. Achoo. Are both of you okay? You just sneezed at the same time, said a raven-haired beauty with three Tomo Sharingan eyes dressed in a black and red clouded cloak with a female Anbu attire underneath it. A tall man dressed in the same cloak and has a lot of piercings on his face with purple ripple pattern eyes replied. One of the civilians in my village must be talking in praises of me and Conan. Clear his throat, Conan, Izumi. Zetsu has just recently gotten word that the Toad Sage of Konoha will be on the move to a place called Tenzaku Town with the QB Jinchuriki. I was planning on sending Izumi with her partner Kisame, but he is already taking up an assassination mission from one of the merchants of the Land of Water to raise money for the organization, so I will be sending Conan with you, Izumi. But Naga. You will not address me by that name, Conan. Clenches hands into fists and grits teeth, but Pain-sama, I already have my duties here and aim to keep the peace and make sure that crime is always reduced to a non-existent level, like it always should to be as it is. I am not exactly trained for Jinchuriki capturing like everyone else is. This is not up for discussion, Conan. You will be leaving with Izumi for Konoha immediately. If what the bingo book says is true about the QB Jinchuriki being an A-rank chunin, then Izumi here will need your assistance, making sure the capture goes well. However, if you are to face any difficulties, then aborting the mission to capture the QB Jinchuriki is optional. Am I understood? Hi, Leader-sama Pain-sama. Back with Jashin and Taka. Jashin glances at the card and slightly eye-widened with a blush on her cheeks and gasped as she said to Taka. Aoi. She's so beautiful too. And she has a lot in common with you, like your coldness towards men, except for Naruto-sama, your undying loyalty and dedication to a cause and goal, and you are both emotionally fragile. Well, you are more than her of course, since you cried during sex and all thati roll, ugh. Taka grew a small tick mark at the last comment, but I smiled to Jashin as she said somehow, I believe that Kagaya-sama is the one who has been attracting all of these women in the temple to Naruto-sama. I believe that Conan will somehow interact with Naruto-sama from day one, and their relationship could start up very quickly, just as he did with all the women in his life. Ah. That's the whole point of this game we're playing, Cyclops-chan. Now what kind of woman do you have for me? Said Jashin. Taka looked up to the ceiling with her black and red eye for a moment, then looked back to Jashin as she said. Samanuo is closely related to Naruto-sama and is more or less the same age as Wani-chan. Someone who has left her home over the guilt of hearing her last hope for family and or love died. Demo. She was actually lied to as her young godson maid only turns out to be well alive and was living a horrible life in the said home since he was born. She comes from a very famous and prestigious family or clan and is greatly respected and known for her skills as a kunoichi. That and you have already went to her in her dreams telling her everything, giving her your precious water of youth, and you have secretly got her into other vices that I'm quite sure Naruto-sama won't find pleasing. Naruto's eyes, you were looking at my cards, weren't you? And you were reading my mind according to the stuff you last said just now. I do not know what you are talking about, Jashin-sama said Tauka, who avoided her godmother creator's gaze, while casually whistling and playing with the small strands of her blue hair, causing the gray-haired loli to deadpan and sweat drop at the same time as she placed a card down on the table that has the picture of a beautiful blonde-haired woman with hazel brown eyes. There. Tsunade Senju. You already know everything about her since you saw my cards, you cute crybaby. I seriously don't know what you are talking about, Jashin-sama. The funk you don't now come here, chases a screaming Tauka around the first floor of the temple while being careful not to break anything. In a casino. Ayachuo. Are you alright, Tsunade-sama? That sneeze was pretty powerful. You must have a cold from all that alcohol and not eating well, said a brunette woman holding a small well-dressed pig. Who is standing next to a blonde-haired woman with hazel brown eyes and a violet diamond-shaped dot on her forehead, dressed in a green haori with a kanji for battle written on the back inside a red circle, on top of a grey kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, as it was held closed by a broad dark bluish-grey obi matching her pants, and has a necklace with a small green gem hanging from it. I'm okay, Shizune-chan, someone must be really talking crap about me, or probably persevering about me at the same time. Probably that idiot Jiraiya. Sigh, I better be finished here soon, I need to get ready for what's to come a few days from now. Shizen looked confused at what Tsunade said and voiced her confusing as she followed Tsunade out of the casino and into the hotel they were residing in for the time being. Ah no, Tsunade-sama, what exactly do you keep talking about when you say that? You've been acting strangely since a few months back, well, not exactly since you haven't stopped drinking or gambling. If you must know, I'm planning on going back home, and I met someone when you were away on one of your jobs to heal someone, leaving me poor little old me alone. Now stop asking questions and help me shampoo my hair. Hi, Tsunade-sama, I wonder who she met for her to finally go home. 5 minutes later. Konohagakure no Sado. Council chambers. In the council chambers, Everyone besides Naruto was present with all the clan heads looking well awake and sharp for the day except for Shikaku Nara of course, and the new batch of civilian council members looked more smart. Respectable and professional than the last batch, with one of the members of this new civilian council being Tuchi Ichiraku, dressed in a red and white formal suit with a black tie, wearing some glasses on. In a quick black flash, Naruto appeared behind his seat and quickly sat on it while mentioning greetings and apologies to everyone and the Sandaime, who nodded in acceptance but told him to be more serious on arriving on time. The Sandaime quickly stood up from his seat and was handed a black sealed envelope from Himura and said to the people seated before him. People of the council. Before we move along with the usual agendas of this meeting, I would like to announce that the votes for who is to be the Gondaime Hokage are now in, and these results were sent to the Fire Daimyo for approval and have now returned back for final confirmation in my agreement. As you all know, the candidate spots are first accounted for, then they are later open to anyone who would like to be chosen and voted for by the council to be the next Hokage of Konohagakure no Sado. However, in order to be a candidate for this position in a village, you first need to have an A2 SSS rank level in your record as a ninja, be a jounin or a clan head of a clan that has a seat in the council of the village, and lastly have your candidate spot approved by myself and the council. Since it was only Uzumaki-san here who applied for the many 5 spots that were open, the council had no other choice but to make a short list of their own, since there was no one else who wanted to be a candidate competing with Uzumaki-san for the position. In relation to that list, the council has first approached Kakashi Hatake, who denied, then went on to ask Jiraiya, who also denied. Now the results of who was chosen are finally in. Sandaime opened up the envelope and spoke as he was looking at the piece of paper from the envelope. The candidate that was chosen by the council of Konohagakure no Sado and approved by the court of the Fire Country is Tsunade Senju of the Sannin and current clan head of the Senju clan. The council nodded to what the Sandaime said, but Naruto sighed to himself sadly as he said, oh well, there's always next time since I still have the rest of my life ahead of me. I wouldn't be bummed out about it, Naruto-kun said one Tsumayan Yuzi seating on Naruto's right side, who smiled at Naruto with eye smiles and continued, you really came in close if it wasn't for your age. If you were at least 16 years old or older, they would have given you the spot right then and there, but we all decided that your shinobi career should expand first and wait for you to gain enough experience and trust from the village first. The people of Konoha may love you now, but it's all in your mother and father's name. Once you work your way up and work hard enough and never give up on your dream, I'm sure your name will be the one to be picked next time. Thanks, Tsume-san, that really cheers me up, said Naruto, who smiled at Tsume, but turned his attention back to the Sandaime, who cleared his throat once again and said. Tsunade Senju left the village 14 years ago on the day of the Kyuubi attack and has not returned since that time. Her reason for leaving Konoha is because of what the previous batch of the civilian council had told her, as they said that the Yondaime, along with his wife and child, had died in the Kyuubi attack. But it was all false, and a plan to make sure Uzumaki-sen was to never be adopted or taken care of, and only wanted him to be isolated from anyone who would try to be in any relationship with him. Tsunade has been traveling the elemental nations on Sannin rites, and she was last seen somewhere within the Fire Country, meaning she will be staying there for the next month or so, according to the normal activities she spends her time doing in the Fire Country. The council has given the task to Jiraiya to find her and bring her back to the village, but he has also made a request for someone to accompany him in getting Tsunade to return, as that person will be the key to convincing her to not only come back, but also take the position of becoming Hokage. Those cards, I swear to Jachan's father, I will find those damn cards, and I'll freaking tear them up when I see them, was what Naruto was thinking, as he pinched the bridge of his nose with his left eyebrow twitching in anger, confusing some of the people who saw him this way. Naruto looked up to see the confusion and worry, then I smiled as he said, I'm just a little tired from all the missions I've been taking lately, that's all. No need to worry about me, everyone. Jiraiya, who was standing besides the chair of the Sandaime, stepped forward and said, the person who will be accompanying me on finding Tswand will be my godson Naruto Uzumaki, and I have already spoken with Hokage-sama about giving him a month leave from shinobi duties. Would you like to go with Jiraiya, Naruto? If you do not feel like going with him, you can simply deny the request. Demo, you must know that Tsunade will truly not come back to the village, let alone take the position, if she doesn't get the full truth of you being alive in the first place, said Hiruzen, who was looking at Naruto, and the blonde looked back to the Sandaime and asked. No, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of relationship did Tsunade Senju have with my parents that makes me so important to her, Hokage-sama? Instead of the Sandaime answering, it was Jiraiya who answered while taking out a piece of rolled up paper, then unrolling it. Tsunade had a very good relationship with the Yondaime and Kushina-san. As a matter of fact, Tsunade and Kushina wanted to conjoin their clans through the simple act of a marriage contract. The people who were drawn up in this contract is Tsunade and you, Naruto. Somehow I saw that coming, said an irritated and bored Naruto, while the rest of the council were momentarily shocked, but began to talk amongst themselves about the marriage contract, but Chaozu, who was sitting on Naruto's left side, said to the blonde haha. Another hot and old lady in the bag, Naruto. You are seriously on a roll, my good friend. Maybe some time from now, your third wife will be Shizuka Murakawa, the owner of the Golden Leaf restaurant. According to the rumors, she is the only woman who is said to be as beautiful as Tsunade-sama, and match her you know what he. Chaozu, is that all you see in that poor woman? Asked Tsume. Hey, give me a break, Tsume-san. You would also think the same as me if you saw her too, said Chaozu. Actually, Tsume-san, Chaozu is right about Shizuka-san. I once saw her when I took my family out for dinner there, and my mouth just wouldn't close, no matter how hard Ino's mother looked at me, said Inoichi. Grunts, the woman is dense and completely ditzy. It took her 2 hours to take Yoshino's order the one time we went there with her taking the customers' orders, said a woken up Shikaku. Geez, you man are all the same. You're all like dogs, said Tsume, only to be met with a glare by Hiashi, who said, oh well, look who's talking. Ubuuren, said a sarcastic Naruto, who looked at the adults before him, arguing amongst each other. The Sandaime clear his throat, causing the chatter amongst the council members to stop, then pay attention to him again. Now that we have closed that matter, let's move on to the other agendas for the day. The next day. Hanahagakure no Sato. West Gate. It was 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and here we find one Jiraiya dressed in his normal attire with his large scroll hanging over his right shoulder behind his back, and he was waiting patiently for his godson Naruto to arrive so that the trip would start. Blissful sigh, and here I was thinking to myself that I would never get the chance to go on a trip with the kid. Looks like I'll finally get to know him better like I promised his father. Every time I try to stop by the temple, that crazy cannibal woman keeps threatening to eat my damn purpose on this earth right off of me if I ever stepped any close to the doors. I better avoid my research for the time being with this kid, or else I'm really gonna lose everything like that sweet hot spring because of that whimpering closet pervert ebisu grunts. After 20 minutes of waiting, Naruto was finally arriving with a large red scroll of his own hanging behind his back over his right shoulder, but what caused the Toad Sage to frown was Jashin walking besides Naruto, dressed in something many would call kinky for a girl to wear. Think of a private Japanese school uniform for young boys with again no shoes, and she was carrying a large backpack on her back. "Hey, hold on a minute here. I said only you could come. Not her," said Jiraiya, only to be with a glare from Naruto that caused him to flinch. "If I'm gonna come with you on this, then I can bring someone along for the trip ahead, and I've some rules for you while we're at it. Rule 1, no perving. Rule 2, no perving, and finally Rule 3 which no perving. Got that, Hero Senin?" Yeah, I get it already. But do you have to call me that?" Glares again. "I think I have reason enough to call you that. Now can we please leave before Tsunade-san disappears again?" said Naruto with Jiraiya reluctantly agreeing at having his godson's very first servant tag along, who of course stuck her self-bitten and bleeding tongue at Jiraiya, who shivered at the image of her doing that being engraved in his mind, added to the many things other horrific nightmares he suffered at the hands of the goddess, all because of his research on the other lowly servant of Naruto and his first wife the sexy and married Anko Midarashi. Jiraiya took notice of the girl's lack of shoes and said to her, "If you don't mind me asking, Jashin, why do you and everyone else besides Anko not wear any shoes?" Jashin smirked as she responded, "As the first servant of the Uzumaki clan and Naruto-sama, I have made it a law that a servant of the clan will wear no shoes as a sign of the servitude to the Uzumaki clan and Naruto-sama. That, and she has a foot fetish. A large foot fetish I might add," said Naruto with Jashin nodding happily to his statement with a small cute blush on her cheeks, making Jiraiya to stare at her and say, "That actually isn't surprising at all, mind you it is weird but not surprising, and I'm sure she's a masochist by the way she loves blood and hurting herself every time. Anyways, if we're gonna be moving around the fire country for Tsunade, we were gonna need to travel fast, as that lady never stays in one place for more than 3 days. Now let's move out." Sitting on a bench at a park eating an apple is Azazel, and sitting besides him is a man named Barakwil, who is a middle-aged gruff-looking man with black hair, a matching beard and a muscular body. There was silence between the two as Azazel looked on at the humans before him exercising in the park, walking their dogs, having a fun time with their families or doing other things, while Barakwil was reading a newspaper in peaceful silence. The silence ended when Barakwil folded the paper up, then placed it on his lap as he looked over to Azazel and said, "You know Azazel, you never did tell me how you came to be Jashin-sama's trusted angel, or any of us for that matter. Apart from you falling from lust when you were an angel, your time spent in heaven was very limited and no one really knew what you did on your own time, since angels back then did not have the luxuries and duties they have now. Sinkers. It took you 100 years to think of asking me that question," Azazel asked, to which Barakwil still gave him a stoic expression, but said, "I was never interested on your history or past, Azazel. I am only wondering what is your connection to the goddess of blood and destruction and why she has told you so much about herself and her religion. This contract you have formed with her master has made us all confused as to why such a thing will be drawn up between the two of you. We know you want to avoid the coming war at all costs, but to go as far as to get the protection of that boy who has the power of the original god. Why?" "Alright," said Azazel, "I guess I do owe you an explanation. You see, during the times of heaven having Kaguya-sama as a ruler, angels were pretty much given the same rights as human beings, and they didn't have much to fall for as they were allowed to get away with anything those days, but the problem is, they knew next to nothing about freedom and how to use it. Every single day it was learn this, learn that, know how to fly and save humans beings, you get the deal, Barakwil. Nobody asked questions about what should they do with their spare time. Hell. They didn't know they had such a luxury until now, which is obviously too late. Believe me, Barakwil, life as an angel was a lot of things but fun back then. I got bored of it fast, and I wanted to use my freedom for something else, rather than taking quiet strolls through Heaven City with angels that don't even acknowledge each other's existence at the slightest. I left heaven without telling anybody and got myself right into Kaguya-sama's temple at the World of the Holy Tree. From there, I met Jashin-sama, who was the first person to notice my leave of heaven and ask me why did I leave in the first place. I simply told her I was bored and I wanted something else to do other than the shit I was given the choice to do as an angel, which is again, bullshit to me. I don't know how, but I somehow got her interested in me and she helped me see just what kind of fun stuff humans were doing with their lives and all the luxuries the original god has given them to have for the rest of their mortal lives in the plane of the living. I guess I can say I owe it to Jashin-sama for falling as an angel. Anyways, after that time of meeting her, I started out working as her Ren boy, doing whatever spying missions I could do in heaven and other worlds. Not to forget this one time she sent me on this mission to steal Odin's eye, which can look into the future and overlook the past. The more I did jobs for her, the more she could trust me, and it came to point where she finally did something for me and everyone else, which was this. What do you mean by this, Azazel? Said Barakweel with a look of question planted on his face. Azazel smirked as he answered Barakweel back. By this I mean give angels the power to rise when they fall. What do I mean by that, you ask? Let me start you with a question, Barakweel. In all your time as a fallen angel, have you ever questioned where your power as a fallen comes from? Why you never feel no remorse for anyone you kill? Have you ever asked yourself why you feel so madly strong when you do something sinful or something considered evil? No, I have never questioned something like that before. I never thought of how I came to be like this when I fell, but now the question does arise in my head. Well, let me tell you a little something you don't know, Barakweel. When Kaguya-sama was still the ruler of heaven, angels were given the freedom to do anything they want, say anything they want and pretty much be anything they wanted be too, as angels were actually primordial human beings, created from Kaguya-sama's own imagination. However, the rules. They all changed when he came into power at the time when Kaguya-sama was defeated by her sons and forced to leave heaven to her moniker when she was sealed inside the Rakuto-sen and then imprisoned in the moon. The rules made by him took away every ounce of free will and freedom angels had, and it was replaced with order, discipline, and all the bullshit we fallen angels have come to hate today. That wasn't the worst part about it. What you and the others don't know is that we, fallen angels, weren't even supposed to be alive right now. What? Hey. It looks like no one knew the truth this all time. The long and short of it is this. When Yamamoto came into power, he wanted angels to face being removed from existence, or in short oblivion, if an angel was to disobey him or God as he would foolishly say, but Jashin-sama saw this from the Eye of Odin before all of it happened. And decided to help us live a second life or a second chance if we were to fall as angels. How? If an angel is to go against God, this angel will lose its light and most of its grace, its life force as angel will be turned to being half the life force of an angel and half the life force of a heathen, and retain its freedom and free will, then gain the mindset and heart of a heathen, making this angel a being of lost grace, but a being raising above control in heavenly submission. So what you are saying is fallen angels are angels of evil under Jashin-sama? Not exactly smirks. Fallen angels are not good nor bad, we are in between those two things, and by in between, I mean that we are as free as the Are points to human in the park. In actuality, fallen angels are saved by Jashinism and protected by it because of my constant prayer to her to keep us alive and stronger, but what she wants from us is to avoid war and keep a cool head as she has given us the gift of blissful ignorance, just like these humans and the others from all other different worlds were given. I see that is why you never wanted war, is it? Right you are, Barakweel, right you are. However, looking at how things are now, the war will soon be. Before Azazel could speak again, Donasek appeared before him and Barakweel just when every single human being left the park with only the two fallen angels remaining, and Donasek didn't even look the slightest bit happy with himself. Hey Donasek. What's wrong? You don't seem to be. Slap. Shut up, you stupid coward. Said Donasek, getting a look of shock from Barakweel, who said to him. What is wrong with you? What is your problem? He is my problem. This bastard, he sold us all to that weak Bis Jashin and her ninja master so we can live away from war like pathetic little defenseless children. He sold Rainer and the others away from me. He doesn't deserve to be our leader. He doesn't deserve our respect for selling our lives to Jashin. Said Donasek, and got a fuming glare from Barakweel, who was about to stand up from his seat and give Donasek a piece of his mind, but was stopped by Azazel, who said to him, let him be. The fallen angel turned to Donasek and said to him while rubbing his slapped right cheek, tell me something, Donasek. Did I ever ask for your respect? Do I ever need your permission to keep us alive and out of harm's way? And do you think I would sell my own soldiers away to a transcendent being like Naruto-sama out of fear for the little guy? I don't need to answer those stupid questions of yours, you whimpering cunt. You were always afraid of that weak Bis, and I bet you lick her feet every day when you see her like the slave you. That's enough, Donasek. Said Barakweel, but looked at Azazel, who was laughing at the fallen angel before him while standing up, but quickly gave him a hard right knee to the torso, causing Donasek to fall to his knees, while coughing up blood at the attack he suffered to his core center. Let's get one thing straight here, Donasek. I don't care what you think of me, and I never did or ever will. I did what I did to keep this faction from being extinct, and hiding the truth from all of you about who we serve was to make sure Jashin-sama's enemies would never come after us in order to get back to her. All this fancy power you have, it's hers, and all the bullshit you and your punk-ass friends have been doing, it's all because she allows you all to do that bullshit. This contract was not drawn up, it was renewed. I don't give a flying funk how you feel about this, and you can go ahead and tell everyone about Jashin-sama being awake and having a master. Go ahead, run to heaven and scream to your pathetic Michiel about the truth. I don't care. Even if they know now, they can't touch us because Jashin-sama's first worshipper is now free, with her brother also being free in the 32nd dimension, and the Blood Army will be up and about in 4 years, not to mention her older brother is also coming out of his personal prison very soon. And Tauka is waiting for one of the factions to do something stupid like attack us, the Fallen Angel faction. That idiot Michiel at least has a brain big enough to know when to back off and shut up, unlike you and Cockable. Donasek looked up to Azazel and spoke to him with a look of malice planted on his face edged with pain. You will pay for this. I swear I will make you pay. I will go to that world and get Rainer, Middleton and Calwarner out of their slavery, then I will kill that weak Bis Jashin if that last thing I do. Azazel looked back at Donasek with nothing but apathy, then walked away from Donasek with Barakweel following behind, while give a hateful stare at the whimpering form of Donasek. Up in a tree watching the whole spectacle is one Akeno who eye widened at hearing everything Azazel said, then silently left as she thought to herself. I need to tell Butchu about this, all I need to quickly. Hanahagakure no Sado. At the top of a hill overlooking the whole of Konohagure no Sado, here we find 2 women dressed in black cloaks with red clouds on them wearing straw hats that hid their faces, but the only thing that could be seen was their eyes, as one woman had beautiful amber eyes, while the other has a pair of fully matured Sharingan eyes. The woman with amber eyes looked over to Izumi to see that she had a very distant gaze in her eyes and could sense a feeling of guilt and regret coming from her. Izumi, this is your home village. How do you feel about coming back here after all this time? You must feel a sense of nostalgia from this all, said the amber-eyed woman. Izumi's gaze quickly reverted back to its stare of indifference and responded. I have nothing to feel for here, Conan. Demo, aren't you supposed to be disgusted and fuming at seeing the village that is wronged? You small smirk. There was a time when I had such a view of this village, but I have come to understand why I lived such a life at the cost of being a victim to war and losing everything I had as a child. Izumi, we need to move in fast and make sure no one is to detect our movements or find out about who we are. The Sandaime Hokage is still alive since Orochimaru has failed to eliminate him, and we cannot afford to delay anything or make one wrong move. Izumi continued to look on at the village before her and couldn't help but shed a single tear of the memory she has of the night she killed everyone in the Uchiha clan, but more so the most precious person in her life, Mikoto Uchiha. The 2 missing ninja were now taking a quiet stroll through Konoha as they would walk up to the civilians of the village and ask them where they could find Naruto. Some would immediately say they haven't seen him, then speed walk away, while others would look at the 2 women with suspicion, then say they have not seen the Uzumaki clan head since earlier this morning. The 2 women were now sitting at a bar with their straw hats on, and the both of them were careful not to speak loudly, but only talk quietly, with Izumi drinking sake from a saucer. Is it possible that he could have left the village already? Said Conan. Izumi took a small swig of the drink, then placed the saucer down on the table as she said to her temporary partner. It could be so, but we haven't left to go see his temple. Demo, I don't think going to the clan district wouldn't be a good idea at the current moment. The 2 women stood up from their booth with Izumi, leaving a few ryo for the drink, then stepped out of the bar, only to be met with Kakashi and Anko, who is wearing a pair of black sandals and small black bands above her ankles. And she still has her orange miniskirt with short fishnet pants underneath with a skin-tight mesh black short-sleeve shirt underneath her fishnet shirt and has a diamond-encrusted ring on the middle finger of her right hand. Anko folded her arms as she said with a stoic expression, her face, you two. Take off the hats and show us those faces now. The guards you passed don't remember letting you 2 into Konoha since they were knocked out by a Genjutsu, a very similar Genjutsu. Izumi looked at Anko for a second, then looked at the ring on her finger as she spoke to her while taking off the straw hat. So the rumors weren't a lie, you really have gotten married to Naruto-kun. Kakashi quickly removed the headband from his eye to show the fully matured Sharingan, then held a kunai in an offense position as he said, Izumi Uchiha, what are doing you here? If you have finally came to your senses about handing yourself over, then I believe you have done the right thing. Conan looked at Izumi, then back to Anko as she said with a stern gaze, are you the wife of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? If you are, then tell us where he is, and we just might leave this village alone before any drastic measures could be taken here. You and Konoha's copy ninja cannot face 2S rank ninja, no matter what kind of skill you may have. Matt, said Anko, who quickly looked over Conan with her eyes scanning the entire figure of the new Kunoichi and continued. Your name is Conan, right? Right. You're from Omegakure no Sato, you're the chick I'm supposed to get for Narukoi smirks. Hey Kakashi, can you hold off Izumi over there while I try and take this girl to the temple, or at least mark her for Narukoi? Huh? Okay, I'll see what I can do, said Kakashi, then his Sharingan eye soon changed into that of Mangekyo, causing Izumi to eye widen. Conan was confused and shocked at hearing Anko know her name and village, but soon got into a stance when Anko hopped right into the air and shouted. Giant Shadow Snake Hand. Anko's right arm turned into a giant snake that was the size of a giant snake summon and flew down straight for Conan, who jumped out of the way before the snake hand could get to her and boom. The snake's head caused a large crater on its impact with dust arising at the impact of the said snake hand's attack. Conan quickly waved her paper arms at the dust, with the said paper turning into shuriken, but heard them being blocked by metal, meaning it was a kunai that stopped them from hitting their targets. The dust was gone, revealing a grinning Anko standing there, then quickly flew over to Conan in blinding speeds. Conan couldn't get out of the way fast enough, and she was speared right in the torso and pushed through the walls of the bar, landing on the other side of it. Anko sat on Conan's lap with Conan, hands under her knees, then did a few hand signs while saying to Conan. "You want power, right? Well, I can give you some. Lots of it. All I ask is that you leave everything behind and forget about your past with aim, your friends, and abandon your organization. If you do that, then my hubby will help you out and maybe give you the life you truly deserve." Uzumaki's sealing jutsu. Teleportation seal. Anko's right hand glowed with blue chakra, then slapped it on the right side of Conan's neck, getting a scream of pain from the blue-haired paper user. Anko hopped off Conan once the seal was completely placed on Conan's neck and fully functioning, and smirked as she said to her, "Take your time to think about it, Harem. Life has been shit for us all, but there is always a second chance once you face the facts and accept change." Conan glared at Anko and threw some paper kunai at her, only for them to be burnt to ashes by black fire coming from Koharu, dressed in her female Anbu attire with no shoes on, who was standing at the top of a tree looking down at Conan with her trademark stern gaze. "Are you alright, Anko-sama?" "Peaches and cream, Bachan," said Anko with a grin threatening to tear her face in half. Back with Kakashi, the silver-haired Jounin was standing there looking at Izumi Uchiha with his Mangekyo Sharingan spinning, then collapsed onto one knee, while tiredly exhaling at using so much chakra on the gain jutsu he used on a now frozen from shock Izumi. "You see now? You should have just did better than let that younger brother of yours live," Izumi said Kakashi. Anko came to his side, then helped him up as she said, "We told you not to use that until your reserves are big enough, Kakabaka. But it looks like Izumi-chan knows now." Izumi's look of shock changed back to a look of indifference and was about to speak when Conan came to her side and placed her hand on Izumi's shoulder. "If you want Narukoi, head over to a town nearby. And remember, Aoheim, the decision is all yours. Just focus your chakra on that seal and everything will take its cause from There." Smiles warmly. "Izumi, we're leaving now," said Conan, and the two cloaked women left Konoha as Izumi gave a look of sadness and disappointment while Conan glared at Anko, but the look in Conan's eyes said otherwise, as Anko could see that she was really starting to think what she said to her over and over in her mind. Once the two were gone, Koharu hopped down to Kakashi and Anko with her fox mask on and said to the two Jounin, "Hokage-sama would like to see you and the other elite Jounin in his office immediately." "Sigh, this day couldn't get any more disturbing," said Kakashi. Anko grabbed a hold of Kakashi's right shoulder and left the area as they sunk into the ground with Koharu leaving through a fire shunshin. In the Hokage's office, here we find Kurenai, Asuma, Guy, Ibiki with Anko and a slightly dizzy Kakashi now arriving in the office as everyone was waiting for them to arrive. The Sandaime stood up from his desk with his smoking pipe in hand and said, "Some new information has now come to my attention just recently from Jiraiya-kun. It is information based on a secret organization that has recently visited Konoha just now in pursuit of finding and kidnapping Uzumaki Naruto. However, it seems that I now need to reveal more than I couldn't all those years ago. Dusan, I just sensed a chakra signature I haven't sensed in years." "Was that?" "Yes," said Kakashi, "it's her, Izumi Uchiha. She was just here and she's heading to." Doors bust open. "Where is she?" The Jounin in the room turned to see a Sharingan blazing Sasuke, who glared at the Sandaime with his hands furiously clenching into fists with his knuckles looking as red as tomatoes from hitting something which had the Jounin asking what it could be, since there was nothing Sasuke could use to train with at the Uchiha clan. Compound. Little did they know that a certain pink-haired banshee has offered herself as a sparring partner to him just to get closer for reasons only good to the said screeching banshee. He walked into the office not bothering to close the doors behind him, but was stopped by Guy who said, "Kid, it would be wise to choose the next words you say. I understand you're." "Get out of my way, cripple," said Sasuke, who pushed Guy's hand out of the way and walked forward to the Sandaime. "You tell me what I deserve to know. Where is she and where did she go? Tell me now, you useless old." "Tsukuyomi," said Kakashi as he looked into Sasuke's eyes with his Sharingan eye turning into a Mangekyo, and Sasuke screamed as he fell to his knees at the images of the Uchiha massacre being replayed right before his eyes and is forced to relive that night for an entire 72 hours. The screaming ended after 5 minutes and Sasuke was then unconscious at his mind being broken again by the said Sharingan gain jutsu. The Sandaime shook his head and said, "I had feared he would know of this." But no matter, what I need to tell all of you now must not leave this room and must be treated as an S-rank secret not meant for anyone, even the Council of Konoha. Here is in motion his Anbu to leave the office, and once they did, he gave everyone in the room a stern gaze and said. Izumi Uchiha did not have a motive to killing her entire clan, but it was a mission given to her. With Naruto, Jashin and Jiraiya. It has been a good 17 hours since Naruto, Jashin and Jiraiya left Konoha in search of Naruto's wife to be Tsunade Senju, much to Naruto's ire and Jashin's joy, and secretly, Jiraiya being both proud and jealous, and now the trio were standing in front of a large gate that belongs to a town. Jiraiya quickly showed his ID to the guards, with Naruto doing the same while saying Jashin is a servant to his clan, then entered as soon as they allowed them to go in. Jiraiya blissfully sighed to himself as he said, "This is my home away from home. A good place to relax and calm the mind when research and work takes too much out of it me." Naruto looked around the place, then found what appears to be a strip club on his right, causing him to deadpan as he said, "I see why." Jiraiya noticed where Naruto is looking, then frowned to himself as he said to Naruto, "Look, kid. I promise I won't be doing any of that stuff with you around, and I apologize for what happened with that perv Ibisu back in Konoha. How about I get us checked in a room so I can go meet up with a contact of mine's quickly about Tsunade. As soon as I'm done, I'll come back to you, then we can leave to get to her." "Naruto-sama," said Jashin with puppy dog eyes, "my feet hurt. Can we please get a room so I can sit down? Then you can massage them for me." "Ugh. Fine. But you better not run off on me, Iro-senin," said Naruto, getting a tick mark out of Jiraiya from calling him that nickname. The trio finally arrived to a hotel, with Jashin walking up to the counter as she said, "We would like a room please." The woman behind counter smiled at Jashin as she responded, "Oh, what a cute little girl. Is she with you?" Jiraiya's eyebrow twitched and was gonna say something mean about Jashin, but stopped when he saw her look back at him with worms crawling over her face into her scalp as her mouth twisted into an evil smirk, causing Jiraiya to shiver in fear and say to the woman, "Yes. She with us. 2 rooms please, and make sure they are far apart from each other." "Okay, here you go. That would be 600 ryo for the night." Naruto quickly walked up to take the keys and pay, then looked at the keychains to see the first key had the room number 9 with the other having the room number 13. The blonde Uzumaki turned to see Jiraiya had already left the hotel with dust at his trail and sighed to himself as he continued to walk up the stairs, with a grinning and eye-smiling Jashin following behind with a skip in her barefooted step. Once they reached room 13, they opened the door using the key and walked in, with Naruto closing the door behind him. Jashin quickly hopped on the edge of the bed and placed her backpack on the left side of it, causing sounds of glass banging against each other to be heard from it. Naruto looked at the backpack with his right eyebrow raised and said, "Oh no, Ja-chan, you never really told me what's inside that, since you didn't pack any clothes when we left. What do you have in there?" "Hehe. Believe me when I say it's best you just watch what happens when Senju-chan drinks some of this stuff. Asapums, let me guess, the red wine of Jesus and purple drank with all the other expensive, rare and not for consumption alcohol bottles you have collected when Kaguya-sama was still pregnant with the Rakuto-senin and his brother." Jashin blushed at Naruto guessing right of what's inside the backpack, then stood up from where she was sitting and walked up to Naruto, then cupped his cheeks as she kissed him right on the mouth, with Naruto getting into the kiss and pulled from it as she said, "You know me all too well, Naruto-sama. Now, about that foot massage." Knock 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 knock. Jashin looked at the door for a second with narrowed eyes, then eye widened for a split second as she said to Naruto, "You should go ahead and get that, Naruto-sama." Naruto could sense a small feeling of excitement well up inside his gray-haired lowly servant and narrowed his eyes in suspicion as he responded, "Ja-chan, what have you and Taka-chan done with those cards that I should be worried about?" "Nothing." Naruto-sama blushes and sweat drops. "Me and Taka-chan were playing a regular game of Crazy 8 yesterday morning. I swear." "Deadpan, you swear all the time, J-cha." Knock 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 knock. Naruto sighed at the lying face of Jashin, who sat back down on the edge of the bed while avoiding Naruto's glare as she looked up the ceiling and whistled casually, then did a frustrating sigh as he walked up to the door to open it. Once he did, his eyes looked up to see 2 very beautiful women looking down at him with stoic and indifferent expressions planted on their gorgeous faces as they were dressed in identical black cloaks with red clouds all over them. And tried to form words out of his mouth but could only open and close it every time he tried to think of something to say, as their sheer beauty has stolen Naruto's breath away. Jashin, who was still sitting on the edge of the bed, smirked to herself as she thought, "Badalu of the slave game. Naruto-sama will pay me twice the time he spent with Afi-chan. Speaking of her, I haven't seen her since she gave birth to that egg of hers. Izumi looked down to Naruto with a fully matured Sharingan, looking deep into Naruto's gloss black and white ringed eyes, and said, "Uzumaki, Naruto, please step outside. We would like a word with you. Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Peace out.